Welcome to We Got Goals, a podcast by A Sweat Life. It's our 5th season of the podcast and a time we're dedicating to body positivity and size equity. This is Sarah Piggot, aka Officially Curvy, a plus size blogger on the gram. You heard from me last week and you'll be hearing from me some more. On today's podcast, we are talking to Coach Kanoa Greene. She's a fitness professional who stands for the belief that plus size bodies can do all things. She's been featured in Self, Glamour, and Essence magazine. She created a series of plus size retreats, and her workouts can be found on the Join app, a body inclusive fitness app. Today, Kanoa and I are going to talk about what led her to pursue a career in fitness and what she's given to the industry and what she's gotten out of it. So I'm pumped that you're here. I'm pumped that you decided to do this podcast. I have been following you for a few years on Instagram. And what led me to follow you is that you were doing plus size surfing and you were teaching it. And I, as a Midwesterner surrounded by land, surfing has never been top of the mind, but I thought it was so cool that you were doing it. Before we jump in, tell us what the last year has been like for you. Obviously not surfing.
So just correction, I don't teach surfing. Oh. I would not, oh my goodness. That would be scary. But absolutely encouraging people to get out there because we can surf at all shapes and sizes. The past year, unfortunately, it hasn't included any surfing, not as much outdoor activity as I would have hoped, probably that I could have needed in the last year. But it's been a whirlwind. I think it's been such it's a combination of challenge, obviously a lot of, I'm an introvert. So like not being around a ton of people all the time, I know I am, is not a hard thing for me. It was actually a little bit like, oh, like I don't have to make an excuse to not go to that party. But obviously doing it for such a long time and then completely being isolated from like my family, just because we wanted to be extremely safe, like that was challenging. But then if we're looking in the movement space, there's been so much happening there. And so that on the flip side has been extremely active and hopping.
It has. So what have you seen or how have you seen the size inclusive movement change?
I've been in fitness for the past 6 years. Part of the catalyst of me wanting to be in fitness is to be a part of a change agent within that, because I wasn't seeing instructors that looked like me, or at least spaces where it was welcoming for people of all sizes to be in fitness levels. I think that's another big part, because I think it doesn't necessarily have to deal with size, but just making it accessible and welcoming to all bodies. And there wasn't as much representation in this space, still obviously not where we need to be, but there has been, I feel, change. I think the last year helped. Because people were at home and trying to find and coming across fitness professionals that did look like them, maybe for the first time, because they weren't seeing them in their local gym or their local studio. And so I feel like we've seen a little bit of change happening consistently over the past 6 years, but definitely in the last year, there's been, I think, a really big push that hopefully will help us propel even more forward moving ahead.
Yes, I do also like that you provide modifications. At the start of the pandemic, I was injured from swimming. I don't know how that happened, but my shoulder hurt and I just wasn't moving as much. And so I was really able to see your modifications that not a lot of people do. Not a lot of instructors also help provide. And then what do you want to see from fitness or from the apparel industry for fitness?
Apparel is always, that's always a tricky thing, because I remember when I would go to work out and I was I don't think they have a lot of pictures of that, 10 years ago, but I'm pretty sure I was wearing men's t-shirts or things that weren't necessarily made for me, but it was the only thing that was available. It was black. It was probably so boring. And even though I'm wearing black today, but that was a choice.
Right, exactly.
That's the only thing I had. And we've seen, again, some push in that area. Like you're seeing brands that are doing extended sizes, bringing in colors and prints, different styles, right? Not just long leggings, but you're seeing biker shorts, you're seeing skirts, you're seeing
A variety of sizes.
like unitards. Hello, like who would
Yeah.
have thought that would have existed for plus size bodies? And we're starting to see brands that are thinking of plus size as not just up to a size 3X or 24, because the reality is that people larger than that are moving their bodies and being active. So I hope to see more of that, because I feel that piece of the puzzle is still missing, where brands are like, yay, we're size inclusive. And it was like, oh no, but you only go to a size US 20. Like that was size inclusive in like 1997. Like it's a different era. And so seeing brands going up to 5, 6, 7X, like that's really important.
I can't agree more. What's a big goal you set and accomplished? Why did it matter to you and how did you get there?
Surfing was one of those, in my mind, because it was a goal that it was clear cut and set. And I made sure that the steps forward to getting there happened. Because that was extremely important for me to share that journey of, okay, I'm a plus size, fat bodied woman, and I haven't seen surfers out there that look like me. I really want to do it, but I didn't see apparel out there. So there was just a lot of questions and doubt of, can I do this? But I felt like if I can do this, it will not only prove to myself that really, because I had already had a sense of, I can do anything in the body that I'm in. It's just, it may be a matter of gaining strength or agility or mobility. But I didn't think it was out of the realm of impossible. And I felt if I could do this, it would prove to myself and other people that we really are capable of doing anything. So I literally was like announcing, like, I'm going to be a surfer this year. Actually, I don't even think I said it was going to be that year, because I didn't know it was going to actually happen, but it was, I'm going to show you that I can do the things that are not surrounded around weight loss or the manipulation of my body, and do this thing and have fun, do it, having fun in the process and embracing my body through every part of the journey. And actually in the course of that time, I did encounter an injury. So it's like, how do you still celebrate the wins? How do you still be proud of yourself and go through that journey and do modification? I mean, I was doing a ton of modifications, even in the process of getting to that point. And then by October of that year, that was being out there, my first surf lessons, really just discovering I can do it. Like we can do it.
So how did you prepare for surfing as a plus size person? Like if you were to tell me these are your next steps in surfing, how would you teach me? Even though you don't teach.
Even though I don't teach surfing. I mean, for me, it was definitely physical, because it is, I owe it, like I say, we can do anything in the bodies we're in. We just may need to gain some strength, some stuff. And the idea of paddling out, doing a pop-up, right? I mean, you're riding literally the fiberglass on moving water. Like it takes balance, stamina, endurance to go through that. So for me, it was like tapping into workouts that I love. For me, it's, I started my fitness journey in spaces that were a little bit more welcoming, like Zumba and dance cardio, or it's like you see those old Richard Simmons dancing to the oldies, like you're like, okay, like big bodies like mine do that. And then once I tapped into the strength training and HIIT, and I was like, oh, but this is like this is my speed.
I'm the same way.
Yeah, I love being challenged. I love this idea of maybe I can't do it, but then I can do it. So utilizing a lot of that yoga to help with the mobility and flexibility, just tapping into a lot of different types of movement and conditioning movement to thus help my body. Because then once you're out there with a surf instructor, a coach, like they're going to help you through the pieces of surfing itself. But in that it was, okay, teach me these things, but I know that my body is ready. Like I've conditioned my body to go through these hours of lessons, to do this day after day. Like I know that I've equipped myself as best as possible physically then to get out there. And I think the mental is it's like a process of, if I fall off 1,000 times, what happens if, we do this and I can't stand up, or if I fail. It's just the same process of going through the physical conditioning of celebrating my body. It has to carry into that process as well, which I had been doing. So then I strengthened that muscle of, I'm going to have fun. I mean, I had to be reminded of that, but it was have fun.
That's a great tip to that it's more of a mind game than anything else.
Absolutely.
So,
like you just have to believe in yourself, but
yeah.
then also remember, like hopefully you're doing it as to be fun, right? The goal of surfing was also because it's something that I knew I would enjoy. It looked really cool. And so, if I'm not having fun in the process of doing it or learning to do it or doing it, like what's the point?
What's a big goal you're setting for the future, and how do you plan to get there?
I'm trying not to get so ambitious coming out of a year of isolation and just, my body changing and being really mindful of that, right? I can go so crazy where it's like, I'm going to do this. And then I'm like, what was I thinking? But really the first big goal for me is just to be the best physically, mentally, for leading my first ever retreat. It's a plus size yoga and adventure retreat. It'll be my first experience leading a retreat, leading a yoga retreat. And so for me, it's just really to be my physical and mental best self, to pour into a group of 25 amazing women who have traveled all over the world to spend a week with me in movement and having a good time.
So about this plus size retreats, where can people find the information?
Yes. So you can always find info on the gram. That's kind of where I live. And it's either at my handle, Kanoa Greene, or even plus size retreats. You can go directly there. It has its own page with all the info. And I'm really excited about it. The first retreat I was supposed to launch was a plus size surf retreat. But due to COVID, it got canceled twice. So we're waiting for things to get better around that so we can bring that back up. And that's going to be in Hawaii. But in the interim, it was this opportunity of leading a yoga retreat, which I think is really great because, having it centered around yoga, I think helps a number of things. I think coming out of the past year, people might want more of that mindfulness and kind of tap into that, as opposed to let's go out and surf and get thrown around in the ocean.
And to a unique destination as well.
Exactly. It's Greece. So, I mean, we're going to be on Crete, which is an island. It's, I think, just surrounded by water. We have a private beach. And so the idea, if you can go there and not only refresh and restore, but hopefully just tap a little bit more into empowerment. I love to empower women through movement. So yoga being one of the vehicles, but there's opportunities we're going to be doing hiking if you want to go sailing, and just with incredible other plus size women. We don't often have a space that is catered to us, and
Right.
know that everything that's presented, like we have your back. You don't have to worry, about things. I've firsthand experienced all of it. And so I think that was incredibly important for people to know that I've taken care of all the roadblocks. You just have to come and have fun. And it's for people of all levels of yoga. You could have never done a day of yoga in your life. You don't even have to know what yoga is, and then show up. And, it'll be an opportunity for us to just, again, pour into ourselves after what has been for many of us such a exhausting year and then some.
Yes. So this is kind of going into the exhaustion. What was it like to delay your goal for so long?
The first time it wasn't so terrible because it was in response to people wanting a surf retreat and there not being anything. And so it was such a rush. Like, okay, people want this. There's not anything. I would feel like a jerk if I didn't do something. Like, it's like I know enough about this journey to at least help. And so we put it together so fast that I didn't have time to really think of what would be the dream scenario. It was like, what will work and what can we do as quickly as possible? And so when that got canceled, I wasn't completely bummed because I'm like, okay, well, it gives me time
to do it better.
What do these women truly deserve? And my experience was incredible. It was phenomenal. And so I was like, how do I replicate that for these women? So then that's when it moved from being in Cocoa Beach, Florida, which, I mean, it's obviously a surf destination, but it's not Hawaii. I mean, so getting a chance to move into my home island on Oahu and just making it this experience, then I was like, oh, this is like what it was supposed to be. Canceling that sucked. We had sold out in 48 hours.
Oh, no way.
Exactly. Yes. I was not anticipating that. I was like, I think some people might be interested. Apparently, yeah. So
well, that's a compliment. Wow.
That, I mean, it just shows that there were women that wanted a safe space to do this. But then going through the whole process of having to cancel it and then not knowing when it's going to be rescheduled because we didn't know how long all of this would take, especially in Hawaii. It's just, they have higher restrictions. And so it's still currently canceled, but you roll with it and you know that everything is supposed to happen when it happens. I love the idea that I get to lead this yoga retreat in Greece as somewhat of my first run at a retreat before hopping into, I think, what will be the epic surf retreat that happens.
It sounds sweet.
Yeah, it's going to be a great time.
Awesome. Okay. Before we go, we received a couple questions from the listeners, and we have rapid fire questions from our own audience. What are your favorite activewear brands right now?
Funny enough, I just put like an activewear guide on my Instagram.
I saw that.
Yeah, I was like, people always ask me. Day One is fantastic. I love that it was created by a fellow plus size woman who really had to overcome obstacles in the fashion space. So it's just talk about someone who knows about advocating for this community. I love Lola Gets. Stacy, who is the founder, is just so, this is something you don't get to find in some of these larger brands, is someone who listens and will make a change on the spot. Like the first time I met her, I had a critique about a tank top, just the armholes being cut a little bit too small, where it's like cutting under my armpit. And literally in the middle of my sentence, she like stops me, calls the designer, and has them like make the adjustment for the next production. I mean, it's really, yes, that much mindfulness. I was like, oh, Stacey does not play at all.
I have never tried Lola Gets.
She's fantastic. And I love that it has a little bit of fun and a wink to it. Like there's a little bit of sparkle. She's not afraid to put us curvy women in just what we want to feel good in. And she started the brand purely as plus size. And they've only just extended into straight sizes this year. So, it's founded on catering to plus size athletes. I also am a fan of Superfit Hero. That is a brand that is probably the most popular among fat body plus size trainers. A lot of us go to, because it's just technically great to move in. Girlfriend, Fabletics. I'm a Nike fan. Brand loyal.
Yes, I'm wearing it. Yeah.
Yes, you are. I'm wearing, this is Fabletics. This is so funny. I was like, oh, this Fabletics.
Who are some of your favorite plus size trainers?
There's not a lot. I mean, there's probably more than I know. I think it's one of those things where when I talk about change in fitness and how there's some areas of movement that you feel are more welcoming, right? Like society is a little bit more open to. I know when I started at the YMCA as a trainer, really you saw group fitness instructors doing Zumba. And actually hear that's probably all you saw. So for me to come on and teach boot camp classes and spin was like unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
So that is something that's still new, is establishments being comfortable of elevating these bodies in more intense types of movement. So you don't necessarily see, go to your local YMCA or maybe your local 24-hour fitness. You're
or
not
any of your gym
any
locations.
gym, even
like
some
none
yoga
of the instructors
studios.
are plus.
Exactly. Like you're not necessarily going to see them. So there's fewer out there. But I love Mort Summer. She has a gym in New York, I think in Brooklyn.
Does she have a handle?
We'll share it. And I think
Okay.
it's just her name. I think it is just Moritz, Morits Summer.
Okay.
I'm so bad about handles, you guys.
That's fine.
We'll definitely put it in the show notes, hopefully. And like there's actually join. So that's probably where I've ended up finding some incredible trainers. Tashian Chillis, she is phenomenal. I learn a lot of things from her. Charles, I don't know his last name or his handle, but I mean, these are people who are doing things that really intrigue me. He does a lot of kettlebell work, some rope work that I'm just like, oh my goodness, yes. Like, can we do?
I love kettlebells.
Yeah, like Wendy, Georgina, all people that I've actually trainers that I have gotten to meet through Join and have become just introduced to their work, which is really exciting.
I love finding people on Instagram that look like me, but also work out. It's an amazing community. I know everybody hates social media, but if you use it well, it's good.
If you use it well and you don't read the comments, it can be a great place.
Right. Last question. What's one self-care practice or tip that has kept you healthy, sane, or productive over the past year?
It would have to be rest, and giving yourself a lot of that. I think I knew I needed some downtime before this, and now I realize I need exponentially more, and it's okay. Giving myself time doesn't have to be just an hour or a day. It could be as something as a week. I mean, I actually just had an executive coaching this week because I was just like, I'm so tired. And she's like, give yourself a whole week off and like put your out of office on your email. And I was like, what? What are you saying? But you don't need an excuse, it doesn't have to be you going on a vacation or, anything spectacular, but give yourself the rest that you really need and the space to pour back into yourself.
As we prepare to come back into the world after COVID, whatever that is, how are you going to implement that?
Slowly.
TBD.
Slowly. I mean, things are starting to move forward, but yeah, we have family that are going to be here from Hawaii in late May. And so for the first time, I'm making plans to do something with another human. Like that is something that hasn't
other
happened.
Than your nieces.
Yeah. Yes. Other than exactly.
Yeah.
And so we planned paddle boarding, hiking. We're going to do some snow. We have indoor snowboarding, places here so we're definitely going to tackle into adventure things that get us excited, but easing into that.
Well, that sounds fun. That sounds like fun.
I'm excited. I'm totally pumped. I'm ready.
Awesome. All right. This was another episode of We Got Goals. and a sweatlife.com production, which is another thing that's better with friends. Thank you, Kanoa, for being here. And thank you to our audio producer, Ryan Deffett. Thanks to you, dear listener, for being part of our community.